Hello and welcome back to the Frugal Granny channel. Today I'm going to have a quick update on house maintenance tasks and how being semi-retired has affected my attitude and ability to get those done. So hello and welcome back to the channel. My name's Ali, I'm Frugal Granny. I'm a 65-and-a-half-year-old semi-retiree trying to do the best on what I've got, having left my office job last June in 2025 and getting the UK state pension in July 2027. Today I'm at a stage in the year, and perhaps in my semi-retirement journey, if you want to call it that, where I'm thinking about catching up on some of the household maintenance tasks that I didn't manage to get done before I left my office job. Those of you who've been with me for a while will remember that when I was in my 3-month resignation ready to retire phase, I was getting the exterior front of my house stripped back down to the wood, and the wood repaired and the woodwork painted. And I did that because I had worked out that it was going to be cheaper to do that and maybe sit it out for 10 years or so before getting it repainted than to keep having a thing just simply rubbed down and repainted every 5 to 7 years. In a house like mine, the issue is not necessarily the work getting done, though that in itself is an issue, but anything that needs doing, because I live in a 3-storey terraced house, is the cost of scaffolding, and that used to be about £800 before you'd even started doing anything. So I just thought, right, let's get the scaffolding put up, let's get that all sorted out, and then hopefully I won't have to get anything done for quite a while. Now, I hadn't anticipated, though I probably did know, that adjusting to semi-retirement and working at a supermarket would take some adjusting to, and I also hadn't anticipated some of the family events that have come my way that I've had to throw myself into helping with. So my snag list after the final renovation bits and bobs that were done last summer has not been addressed, and it did get to the point where I thought, right, I can't do any more in 2026 because the length of daylight's decreasing, the weather's getting bad. Really, these things need to be left till the next year. The other thing I did have done at the front last summer was I had the glass in my front door replaced so that it was more in keeping with the age of my property or the style of my property. They did a really good job, but it does mean that there is some snags on the inside of the door that need to be dealt with as well, which I should have done at the time, but I haven't. I thought I would sit and go through my snag list with you this morning and just have a think about the things that need to get done and try and estimate how much of that I can probably get done this summer and see if there are going to be any unexpected expenses there. For a number of years now, I've been keeping a very strange looking snag list on my big spreadsheet that seems to rule the whole of my life. And basically what I've done is I've just made a column for each area of the house, and I've had a list under that header of all the jobs that have needed doing. Then as they've been done, I've changed the font to green, and then there are a few that are in purple, and they are in the realms of fantasy. And I think I also colour the background so that ones that are going to cost money are coloured appropriately, so I know what's going to cost me money and what hopefully is not going to cost me anything or not very much. Let me just see if I can take a quick photograph of the spreadsheet for you. So I've taken a quick screenshot of the snag list, just basically because of the way the spreadsheet's organised. I'm going to start at the top of the house and work downwards. So in the 3rd floor of my house, I have a bedroom and a study landing and a shower toilet room. And the shower toilet room I had completely refitted before I semi-retired, and that quite a while before I semi-retired, and that was a big project. And that year I think I also had the back windows replaced, so that was a very spendy year. I think that year cost me about £10,000. Yeah, so you can see I have spent a lot on this house as the years have gone by, but there were a few things that never got finished off. Yeah, so on the attic floor in the bathroom, there was one thing that the contractor didn't do. Well, there were two things that they didn't do that they did say they were going to do. And to be honest with you, I didn't chase it up because one of the things was to put in a shaver point, and they'd already tiled the bathroom, so putting a shaver point in would have meant taking all the tiles and everything off, channeling in the electric. So I just thought, just leave it. And the other thing that they were supposed to have put in was a ceiling light fitting that's waterproof for the bathroom. And again, they didn't do that. And you'll say, well, why didn't I go back to them and ask for a discount or something on the price? Well, the reason I didn't do that is because they did do some other things for me on spec while they were working on the shower room. They put a thermostatic regulator on the bedroom radiator, which when I moved in, I had all the radiators in the house done, but the guy who came to do the radiators didn't see the radiator behind the Kallax unit in the top bedroom, and so that one didn't get done. So I asked the bathroom shower room plumber if he would do that one for me, so he did. So he provided and fitted the thermostatic regulator. He also fixed the dripping kitchen tap. I just thought, I'm not going to chase up about a shaver point and a bathroom light when he's just effectively done those other two things for free. So I personally thought that was a fair trade-off. But that does mean that I need to get a new waterproof light fitting in that bathroom. I don't think it's because of water, but the light bulb in there has recently blown, and I do need to get that light fixed. And I just need to phone and ask if he could supply and fit a, shower room light for me. It doesn't need to be beautiful, it just needs to work, and it needs to be safe in a humid environment. Now, the other thing I was thinking while an electrician was there doing that is if they could just swap the light socket cover on the landing. Firstly, it's slightly crooked, and secondly, it's a sort of ornate brass style, which I honestly don't like. I just want a basic standard white light switch covers, and yes, they're going to cost me money, so I think I need to get those done. So I'm going to put that on my list now. And the other thing up there that I've wanted to do is perhaps change the light fitting. It's a sort of strip of small spotlights. It's got 4 bulbs in it, and I personally do not think I need 4 bulbs up there because, in the end I took 3 of the bulbs out, so at the moment it's running on 1 bulb, and I did that to save electricity. Occasionally that light would get left on by accident, and I thought I'd rather have 1 light left on by accident than effectively 4. So I'm still trying to think whether or not I want that light fitting just changed to a single bulb fitting, or even perhaps a light fitting that matches the one in the shower room. The main thing there really is to make sure that the staircase is illuminated. I'm more worried about safety than aesthetics up on that floor. So perhaps what I could do while the electrician is here doing the bathroom light is ask his advice about what he thinks about that ceiling light fitting. I don't want it moving because it has effectively got to illuminate the staircase and the study landing. So maybe that's why the previous owner put in a run of 4 angled spotlights. Maybe it was there for a reason. It would just be good though if if I could switch them on and off independently rather than all of them being on and all of them being off at the same time. But anyway, I think that probably is getting into the realms of fantasy. But the main point here is I need to get some paid electrical work done on my attic landing, and I've written that down to get that, start getting that sorted out next week. As you can probably see on that spreadsheet, there are a couple of things in purple, which means they are in the realms of fantasy, and they are replacing the blind on the Velux window, which in actual fact is perfectly functional. It's just not a colour I particularly like. Thank goodness it hasn't got a pattern on it. At least it's a plain colour. And again, in the realms of fantasy, and I think I was thinking about if I had retired, semi-retired with nothing to do, I wanted to strip the wallpaper and re-wallpaper that whole area, because the previous owner has put some nice textured wallpaper up there, which has been painted over by them and by me. But rather than abutting the wallpaper next to each other, they've overlapped it in places. So there's this horrible sort of overlap in 2 or 3 sections of the wall where really they should have trimmed it, you know, by that sort of wavy sort of cutting the wallpaper in method. But maybe they didn't know about that. I don't go up there terribly often, but when I do, it does bother me. And it also bothers me to think that whoever has this house after me will probably think what a bad wallpaperer I am when I didn't put it up in the first place. But anyway, that's in the realms of fantasy. It's not going to happen anytime soon unless I am really, really, really bored and I need something to do. Right, then as well on that top floor, the other snag that needs doing is I need to take down the net curtains. Actually, that net curtain needs replacing. It's got a rip in it. And I need to sand down around the window frame, because that was one of the windows I had replaced, and it was so long ago now. And again, the guys who did put the new window in did a fantastic job, but there are just a few sort of nicks on the wooden outer frame that need sanding down and just touching up with some white satin wood paint. And so that's another thing that needs doing up there. And I think once those things are done, that floor is as finished as it's probably going to be in the realms of reality. And to be honest, those things are not a lot. And if I could get those ticked off my list, then I can sort of forget about the top floor, so to speak. I'm really, really pleased with the new window I did have put in up there. It's a tip and tilt window, so the top bit undoes and pushes out, but the bottom bit, you can undo it one way and it tilts into the room so you can get fresh air without there being any danger of anybody falling out, and I'm thinking young children and pets here. But in case of emergency, if you twist the handle the other way, the whole bottom of the window opens like a door, which means that if a ladder is put up to that window by a fire engine, somebody could actually be evacuated from that room. I have thought about having a metal loop bolted to the wall and an aluminium ladder, a folding one put under the bed, but again, that's something I've not quite got to. But if I had a lodger in the future, that is something that I would have to do. And again, that probably would cost a lot of money. So that's the top floor. Now, if we move down to the next floor, the main thing on the next floor, again, is touching up the snags after windows were replaced. I had the window replaced in the back bedroom and the bathroom at the same time as I had the window replaced in the attic bedroom. And again, they did a fantastic job, but behind where the curtains are on each side or where the blinds are, there are just a few little bits that need rubbing down and painting. And honestly, where are we now? And I still have not done that. Even though I have cleaned those windows several times, I've not got round to just rubbing down those odd bits and painting them. So when I do the attic ones, I'm going to do the back bedroom and the bathroom as well. Now, the windows in my bedroom and the ground floor, they're both bay windows. They're the original Victorian windows, What I need to do with those is just rub down the bottom bit, just the bottom sill, not the sill, the bottom bit of each window frame, and prime that and repaint it, because over the last few years the condensation has lifted the paint up and the bare wood is beginning to show in places, which puts those window frames at risk of rotting. So that again is top of the list for this summer. So that's getting the electrics done, getting doing the bottom of the bay window frames, and fixing the snags on the replacement window frames. Those are the main jobs that need doing. Yeah, so on my spreadsheet, anything that's green, yeah, at the top, that's going to cost money. Anything that's blue, that needs doing, but it's going to be free apart from my labour. The orange in the main bedroom where it says touch up round the window frames ready for winter, I was hoping that the guy who had done the exterior woodwork for me last summer would come back and just do that briefly for me. But I was talking to my neighbour the other day because he was going to have the same done to his house this summer as I had done last summer using the same decorator. And I said, oh, when's so-and-so coming to do the front of your house? And he said he's not coming. He's not a sole trader anymore. He's working for a larger concern, so he's not coming. And I just thought, that is such a shame. I mean, he's painted nearly every single house on my street, and he's such a good worker, and that's sad. But anyway, so it looks like I'm going to have to do those bottom of the window frames myself. Though my neighbour did say that the decorator had mentioned he might do the odd small job at weekends, so I could try. But I just think if he's got a job all week and he's got a family, he probably wants to spend time with his family, not sanding down and painting the bottom of my window frames. So staying on the first floor of my house in the bedrooms, in my bedroom I've also written down thermal linings for the curtains. Now, I've lived here for nearly 10 years now. I think I've had 9 winters here, and I've survived without thermal linings, so I might be able to survive another winter without them. We will see. But again, that's going to cost me money, and it's not desperate at the moment. I just need to do a bit of maths and just decide whether any increase in the cost of heating would be offset by the purchase of thermal linings for the curtains. So that's not so urgent at the moment. In the spare room, I wanted to sand the top of the bedside tables and the top of the blanket box. Again, that's aesthetics. It doesn't have to be done. Okay, now going into the bathroom, I've mentioned the snags around the replacement window. The other thing I really just need to do is replace the sealant around the bottom of the bath where it meets the floor. Yeah, I know that the floor probably should have gone under the bath, but I had the floor fitted when I moved in. The bath was already in place, and although I think they did take the panelling off the side of the bath, I still like to just seal along the bottom to stop any water running underneath and puddling on the wooden floorboards. So I just need to replace that. That's something I can do. And as you can see at the very bottom of that, new loo. Yeah, the loo in my bathroom is very strange. It is not the traditional oval shape, it is round. And trying to get a spare loo seat for that loo is practically impossible. And when the hinges broke on the loo seat the other year, I had to buy new hinges, take the loo seat off, take it all apart, refit some hinges and put it back on again because I could not find a replacement round loo seat. And I'm just thinking that the next time those hinges go, it's probably going to be even worse because the wood will probably be in such a state that I can't screw the hinges in again. So I may have to have the loo replaced with a more traditional looking loo. And the only problem with that is if I have the loo replaced, I'm probably going to have to replace the flooring as well, because as I've just said, the flooring I had put down is just lino or vinyl or whatever they call it now. It was cut around the fixtures rather than the fixtures being installed over the top of the flooring. And so if they change the shape of the pedestal of the toilet, there's going to be a nasty gap, and I'm probably going to have the flooring replaced as well. So if anyone breaks the Lucy in my house, it could end up being a very expensive do. But I'm just putting that on the back burner for a while, but I'm very, very aware from my spreadsheet that that may need doing. Now, on the going out onto the landing, the job that needs doing there is touching up the woodwork, because over the decade that I've lived here, obviously the head of the vacuum cleaner has knocked into the skirting boards, taken some of the paint off and revealed the dark stained woodwork underneath. So basically what I need to do is just get down on my hands and knees, rub that down, vacuum it up, tape over the carpet, and just quickly paint round all that. That's not difficult, it is something I can do, and it just seems a big task though, but I think if I broke it down into sections, I could probably get that done if I put my mind to it. So that's the main thing. It's just around the skirting on the first floor landings and down the side of the stairs where the Hoover head has hit into the woodwork over the last decade. So I do need to do that. In my previous life as a mum and in a big busy family where we had a lot of people in and out, I probably would have been touching that woodwork up every year so that visitors wouldn't see that I'd got chipped woodwork, but nobody comes into my house now, so I've rather let that slip for the last decade, but I would like to get that done, ready for the next, 5 years or so, and maybe try and keep on top of that if anything does get chipped. And again, let's just move further down the stairs now. Paint the walls. Now I've put that in blue because blue basically means something that I could do. I could paint the walls in the entranceway quite easily, but the long drop up the stairs might be quite difficult. I've never painted with a roller on an extended handle before, but there's always a first time for everything. And again, I think if I took it slowly and broke that task down into sections, I could probably do it. So I do need to paint the entryway walls. I did a little bit of that the other year, one little section, but I do need to do all of it. The entryway walls on both sides and the long drop up the stairs. I do wash the long drop up the stairs every now and then because, fingers and hands, and they're my fingers and hands as much as the fingers and hands of my sons. I do wash that, but there gets to a point where I think it's not really going to wash anymore, and so that needs doing. I can see further down the hallway and stairwell column there into Fantasyland. I've got remove the wood chip from the coving. Yeah, strip the wallpaper and repaper, replace the ceiling. No, it ain't going to happen. It really is not going to happen. One of my retirement sort of pipe dreams was to get my big new stepladder out and a craft knife and just do a test piece and cut to the top and bottom of the coving in a place where it wouldn't be too visible, and see if I could peel back the wood chip wallpaper that one of the previous owners has papered over the original coving, and to see if I could perhaps seal the top bit and the bottom bit and then repaint the coving so at least the coving was smooth and not wood chipped. Honestly, I really don't know why they did that unless the coving underneath is seriously damaged, but normally you can see a little sort of bump in the wallpaper if there's damage underneath, and there doesn't look like there are any bumps under that wood chip along the coving. But again, this is a really, really messy job. It's a big job, and it's not something that I really want to be tackling at the moment. So I think in the hallway and stairwell, the main job is to paint the walls and to touch up the woodwork. And then moving into the entrance hall, as I said, I just need to touch up the inside of the front door. where the new glass was fitted, and again around the top light where the new glass was fitted. So talking to you about these things, it doesn't seem as unmanageable as perhaps my mind was making it to myself. I think the biggest thing to do is to get on and contact the electrician and ask him to come and get the shower room light refitted. And I think once that's done, the other jobs will probably go down like a stack of dominoes. I do find this sometimes, that there's just one thing that's blocking everything else from happening, and I think in my head it's having to get that shower room light refitted, and I'm going to get that done. I'm going to sort that out. I'm going to sort that out this week. Now, as we go into the entrance hall, another thing that needs doing is the floorboards in there need sanding. They are the original floorboards, and the oak flooring that's been fitted in my hallway was not continued into the entrance hall. There is a sort of strip over the inner front door, so there's a clear demarcation between the hallway and the entrance hall. And what I'm going to do, and again, this is something I started but didn't finish, is I bought a small, what you would call a mouse sander, that's got a pointy bit on the end like a domestic laundry iron. And I'm going to use that to get into all the corners. I've got a flatbed sander as well that I've had for years, and I want to just sand down the original varnish off that floor, give it a wipe, and then just revarnish it in clear varnish so that at least it looks fresh and clean. I also need to put a bit of MDF in the sunken footwell. There's a footwell that holds a doormat, and it really is far too deep. I need to reduce the depth by half, so I need to get a bit of MDF cut there, and then get a new doormat to put on top of that, and then the entrance hall's done. Again, that's not an impossible job, but it's not essential, and the other things that I've mentioned will happen first. Right, well, there are a few other jobs that need doing. In the front room, I just want to put some loops on the outer edges of my curtains so that I can hook those loops onto the curtain tie-back hooks, so that in the winter there isn't what you might call a windy gap down the outer edge of the curtains, because the curtain rails don't really extend far enough out to cover that gap. That's a really small job. It's been on my list for donkey's years, and I honestly don't know why I don't just get on and do it. The other thing I need to do in the front room is replace the net curtain. Again, I just need to get on and do that. Now, downstairs, there's not a lot left to do. I need to patch up the skirting on either side of the wood stove in the pug snug, the back room, because when they put the new hearth in, they cut the skirting board, and there's just a little bit that needs patching up. That was not in the brief of the stove fitter, and I've done it before in the front room. I just need to get on and do that again. Now, the really big thing that I've been putting off for ages is cleaning my kitchen floor. I have slates on my kitchen floor. The sealant is failing. There are a lot of spots and marks on it, things that cannot be got off with a scrubbing brush or a scourer. And I did ask a floor renovation company to give me an estimate for renovating that floor, and they said £1,000. Well, I reckon I could have a new floor for £1,000, but I don't really want all that hassle. So when I've got a minute, and it probably won't be this summer, I'm going to see what would happen if I applied a steel brush to one of the tiles, which is out of sight, a steel brush attached to an electric drill, and just see what happens. I mean, you see these things online, people doing these amazing things on YouTube, house renovation videos, and think, well, if they can do it, I can do it. But sometimes these things are a bit more difficult and messy and awkward than you think. So that one's on the back burner for now. I don't think it's going to get done this summer. I mean, my floor may be spotted and stained, but at least it's clean. It had a good wash this week. I'm just going to have to keep washing it the best I can until I've got time to sort that out. The other couple of tasks at the back of the house just involve doors. Now I need to just quickly sand down and seal my wash house door. It faces the weather, it faces north, and it takes the brunt of the weather, so I need to seal that so that water doesn't get into the woodwork. And then the other thing I need to do, and this is what I wanted the decorator guy to come and do, but I don't know if he's going to be able to do that now, I can but ask, is to strip the paint off the exterior of my back door. And there are a couple of bits where the woodwork is rotting, and that needs either treating or dealing with before it gets worse, and then repainting. I think I'm going to ask him if he might be able to do that bit for me one weekend. He can always say no, and if he says no, then I'll try and find someone else. Otherwise, I think that's something I may have to tackle myself. But again, I think that one's pretty urgent because I don't want the water getting into the back door and me having to replace the back door, because that's going to be an expensive do. And I like my back door. I don't want another back door. I want the one I've got. That's a quick run through my house snag list. It's been quite helpful to go through this with you because it's galvanised my mind into action. So there are some things to do this summer, and rather than going out and spending money, those are things that I can do. I've got everything I think I need to do these tasks. I probably might need another tin of satin wood gloss. I do have one tin, but I think I'm probably going to need another one. So I think a trip to B&Q may be coming up. I also need to get some more garden wire, which will be a B&Q job. So Bells and I may go on a trip to B&Q soon. Yeah, I'll report back to you on how much the electrician's going to cost me. I am thinking £100, £200, but I've still got money in the emergency fund I can take out to get that done if necessary, and that is the main thing that needs doing. And I will try and get in touch with the decorator man about the exterior of my back door. And I mean, that could be expensive. But anyway, there you go. That's a little waffle from me for today. Anyway, so I'll see you on Monday for Magazine Monday. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Let's just have a